Let's get it going, y'all. Let's clear the space. All right, let me get Delena on the line so we can get going. As always, the intention for today is just to spread knowledge, which is light. And I want to make sure that whoever needs to hear this hears it. Are we good? Are we back?
For whatever. Can you see me?
Yes, I can see you.
Okay, I can't see me, and that's fine. I don't care. It shows black at the bottom for me. I don't see anything,
That's
but it's okay.
crazy.
Okay.
Well, I did. We got a little messed up. This kind of it didn't mess up the flow, right? Because everything happened.
Oh no, I'm 100% right here with you. I can't see myself, but that's okay. I won't stop myself from speaking.
Good.
You guys can see me? Okay, that's cool. I'm gonna take my glasses off since I can't see myself. It's so hot. I hope the lighting's good.
Same for me. You see me? I'm sweating. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my god, I got shorts on.
I know. So, happy Wednesday. Welcome into your own awareness. Let's step into some reality.
Yes.
And I'm going to turn it over to you so you can talk about what it is we're discussing tonight and how you were inspired.
So tonight's topic, is it logic versus emotion or emotion versus logic? I can't remember which one was which. But the topic is still the same thing. We're there.
Yes.
For me, this really is a topic that hits home for me for several different reasons. You can almost look at every side of the spectrum in terms of myself being the sibling of a celebrity. I've struggled for a really, really long time dealing with my emotions and learning how to work my way through them and not have them work me, work me in their favor.
Right.
Like I'm an emotion. I consider myself an empath. I consider myself up on energy, and I've had difficulty throughout my life struggling with how to deal with my emotions. People have called me sensitive or emotional, and at different points in my life before seeking healing and going to therapy, I would be kind of ashamed to be called emotional, or sensitive, and I thought, and I looked at it as a weakness, but having that help and creating a vulnerable space made me realize that playing into your emotions all the time and being that all in your face is not necessarily strength. That doesn't mean you're strong. That doesn't mean that you're getting your point across. So I had to learn how to channel and work through my emotions. And one of the most powerful things that I read was emotions are energy in motion. So it's energy that's in movement that you got to work your way through. And I found myself even dealing with traumatic experiences in my past with my ex, moving forward, not knowing how to give myself, like, am I giving too much of myself? Am I applying this emotional, because I'm a woman, I look at things in a nurturing aspect to always add and give someone, and but I need to know when is the right and correct time to do that, and when it's the right time to create boundaries for yourself.
Yeah.
So that's primarily the inspiration to me.
Yeah, that's everything. Becoming more aware of yourself is everything. Self-awareness is key. When you were speaking, I was thinking about how where in the world would you have learned how to manage your emotions unless you had a family member, a mother or a father that taught you how to regulate yourself, right? I don't know any mom, maybe unless it's therapist mom, which I find myself to be, but I don't really know. My mom or grandmother or great grandmother, all these women and men in my life, no one was able to teach me how to regulate my emotions. No one even, it wasn't even a topic of conversation. My emotions were threatened, right?
Mm-hmm.
So language like, you better stop crying before I give you something to cry about. Like, I heard stuff like that. Like, that's how I learned how to manage that part of myself. Where I would learn how to suppress that emotion. So I learned how to suppress
Right.
emotions, but I did not learn how to regulate myself. Did you?
No.
Hmm. 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 So we learned also how to survive our emotions, right? Or to cope with our emotions, to use things to make us feel differently, but necessarily learn how to regulate our emotions. Because if you say that emotions are energy and motion, then I need to learn how to use my energy. I need to learn how to use it for my benefit, for the benefit of my relationships, for the benefit of my career. But instead, emotion can take you and drag you down the street, take you anywhere it wants you to go, like a leaf in the wind, you know? So it's really powerful. I think it's really good that we talk about how men and women manifest emotion and where it comes from and the science behind what it is. What's so interesting is I can see myself. And so, I don't know. Do you have any questions for me? Because I can talk.
Well, one of the things that I think um, people want to know or hear more so when it's logic versus emotion, I know that they tend to think men versus women. And I really did want to get into, that dynamic and how society, and that program has kind of uh, subconsciously created that disconnect or conflict where we're not hearing each other because of our approaches and like how some of that ties into our upbringings and how our traumatic experiences shape and form us.
Yeah. Okay, so let's look at this. So, developmentally, humans, period, humans develop up to a certain age where your emotional brain is the controlling brain. And that's all the way through teenagehood. Like our emotions dictate our behavior. And so it's not until you get to a certain point in your life in adulthood that you have the ability to uh, approach life logically, where your emotions don't absolutely govern you. And I said the ability to choose. And so in the teenage years, and I don't know, is there feedback? Is there feedback? No?
I can hear you fine.
Okay, good. So in the teenage years, the midbrain, the way that it works is called the limbic system or the amygdala. It's the mid portion of the brain. It is the controlling part of the brain. That's why they say teenagers go crazy and you begin to act out when you get to a certain age. And so at this point, it's because you begin to act out because you can't control it. You're getting a new set of hormones. You're getting estrogen when you get into puberty. You're getting testosterone when you get into puberty. So your emotions govern your choices. They govern your behavior. They decide what you're going to do. 100%. You even find yourself maybe talking back. You can't even control the ability as to whether you talk back to a parent or not. And so your emotions become the governing force. And so if you never learn emotional intelligence, then your emotions will continue to govern your life into your 20s, into your 30s, into your 80s. And so people make choices based on their emotions. Women really make choices based on their emotion because they produce estrogen. Men don't produce estrogen.
Wait, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you, but I do see people saying the feedback. I can hear you, but I do see a couple of comments.
Okay, let's see. Is that better?
Yes.
Yes. Because I don't have any. Okay, good. So I'll repeat what I said, and I'll say it in a more concise way. When you're a teenager, your emotions govern your life. Your brain is now producing a new hormone. It is now producing, it is controlling your choices. Where you might have been cool before, you might have had the ability to go to bed at bedtime. Now that emotion is so strong because the hormone is so strong. And so now you might speak back to your parent where you wouldn't have in the past. And so if you never learn to gain control or self-regulate those emotions, they will control your life into your 20s, into your 30s, and into your 80s. Like it will completely control your life. And so what happens along the way for men is that they're taught particular things about being strong and tough. And that is, men don't cry. That is, don't trust a bitch. That is, you're right, don't be soft, don't be weak, don't let her whoop you with that thing. Like all these things begin to come up. And so men have to be out of, they don't get to be authentic about how they feel about women in their lives. It even breeds domestic violence. It even objectifies a woman in a particular way because they can't give of themselves freely anymore because now social norms are controlling what they can show as they truly feel. Remember, we learned as children how to suppress our emotions. We learned, those of us that were spanked or threatened with whoopings and things like that, we learned how to suppress how we felt, how we thought. It was dangerous to think and feel and speak your emotion.
Yep.
And so those of us that come from oppressive homes where we had to perform in a particular way or act a particular way or have a certain type of response, we learned and became masters of suppressing and controlling our emotions. And so that shows up in our relationships, our romantic genetics and development, human development, have everything to do with how we manage emotions. Those of us that come from oppressive lifestyles in our family system and in our society as a whole. Does that make sense?
It over makes sense. It overly makes sense.
And girls are taught to be nice, be fair. And then when we get to a certain point in our life after having been oppressed, we begin to start showing our emotion through anger. Men begin to show their emotion through anger. That's the only approved emotion. I told her off. I'm not scared. Let her run up. Let him run up. I'll handle it. We are killing each other all over this country because we can't manage our emotions. The penitentiary is full of people who could not manage their emotion, who had low emotional intelligence.
No, this is a fact. And one thing that I will say, especially for me coming out of my relationship, that was one of the things that I was faced with. It's like you as a woman have to understand that going through a traumatic experience and coming out of that, there's so much healing that has to be done that, like, I was afraid to open myself. Like, I didn't want to become a hardened woman. I didn't want to become a woman that wasn't open to love, and that's a real thing. And I think that I have so many peers and friends and girls that I'm cool with that find that operating and acting like men, will get them ahead or to fill a void that's missing, and it's not that. Like,
right.
And I had to find that, so this word is like what you're saying is it makes the more than perfect sense.
We don't necessarily understand our power or the dynamics of what we are as these humans. And I have to speak from this point of view because I'm more than a Black woman, right? I am this human being. I'm this thing that the Creator created, but we don't understand how we function. We don't understand the dynamics. We don't even understand that emotion is nothing more than chemicals released into the bloodstream, and we have labeled them along the way. Some of them are habitual. A love song can come on and bring up a certain feeling, and it will release into your bloodstream, and you maybe have no defense, right? You can smell a certain scent,
I was about to say that
right?
scent.
Yes.
Mm.
And emotion, hormones will get released from the brain because the brain remembers. There's a relationship with that scent, with that taste. There's a relationship with even driving down a certain street,
Yep.
and it will release the hormones related to it. Before you know it, you texting somebody. Before you know it, you calling somebody. And so I want you to understand, you guys, we are this powerful being, but I want you to understand also how this thing works. What emotions are. The endocrine system releases hormones into the bloodstream. And for those of us that don't have emotional intelligence, and I'm telling you, this is an ongoing thing to have emotional intelligence, to have a high emotional quotient, right? It's like what's first required is self-awareness. And if I don't have self-awareness, if I don't know what I am, if I'm not aware of what I think and what I feel before I act, then I am in the blind. I'm in the blind. I put myself in harm's way. I can't tell you how many times as a youngster I've jumped in my car on something that I felt.
Mm-hmm.
Have you?
Too many times.
Right. Right? Somebody else in this audience has jumped in their car on something, has made a phone call, has blocked somebody, right? Has said something in social media, has rolled up to somebody's house, have done something just out of a sheer feeling, never ever pausing, slowing down long enough to have, what is this I am thinking? What is this I am feeling? Is it even true? Is my child, my wounded child, responding to this, or is my adult responding to this? Right? Is that little person who was abandoned or molested or raped or injured in their childhood or has a low value system, is that who's responding to this emotion, or is this adult responding to this emotion? Because when that child responds to the emotion, the adult has to pay the consequences for the choices. How many times has your little girl gotten a relationship with dude, and then the adult you has to live with him and sleep with him and be in the relationship with him? And I think that's what you were talking about, values. You know, we girls are given this value system that if you have a man and if he has a certain stature and if he rides a certain car, if he has a certain earning capacity, then that's what you need to do. It doesn't matter what his character is. It doesn't matter if he hasn't healed from his childhood wounds. It doesn't matter if he has the ability to communicate his emotions or connect to you or not. Is the sex good, and does it give you money? And before you know it, your little girl who's looking for their daddy is in a relationship with somebody that the grown woman that you are has to sleep with, tolerate, and be abused by. Somebody needs to talk about that.
I mean, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Like, these are all facts. This is nothing that, this is a clear space. You know, I know myself from my experience, you know, I found myself in a situation where I was valuing a relationship. I was valuing what me and that person meant over myself and what I meant, you know, and I think that it's important for us to talk candidly and have these conversations and talk about methods that we can use to help us maintain and help us work through our emotions and
Yeah,
avoid these kind of situations, because I can't tell you how many times that I've found myself acting off of emotion and put myself in harm's way, you know?
that's right.
So
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. The emotion is like fire. You know, it moves you quickly. And that's, again, energy and motion. But I think that me saying these words, my hope is that those of you that are listening as you realize that you are not alone. You're not the only person that is moving in this way. You can come out of the shadows of your secrets. You don't have to pretend like it's all good anymore. You can begin to have conversations with your peers about how sometimes you're just not sure of yourself and you get involved in things that you know that may not be in your best interest. You know, sometimes you don't feel good enough, and so you're functioning out, you know, in your external self and your emotional body. And it's time for us to stop dying in secret and to begin to recover. And this is one of my girlfriends has this organization to recover out loud, you know, to just say, hey, I don't know how to manage my emotions. You know, I don't know that so-called feeling of love, which is really lust, or which is really save me from my desperate place, you know, rescue me. You know, so many of us are still looking for our savior, right, in a relationship, but we can't find it at church, you know. And so one thing that's important is to slow down a little bit. And this is an area that I'll be honest with you guys, I've struggled with for the course of my life. I have lost relationships. I have really damaged relationships because I didn't know how to self-regulate. No one taught me how to self-regulate. And so one of the elements of emotional intelligence, I said, was self awareness, slowing down, being aware that I have an emotional body, I have a mental body, I have a physical body. So I need to be able to scan my thinking, be able to slow, not just what I'm doing, but what am I thinking? Because it's my thinking and my feeling that leads to my behaving, my acting out, right? And so I need to be able to self regulate. When those feelings come up, those heavy ones that I feel in my stomach, in my throat, right? That I feel in my chest, when they come up, I need to recognize that is, it is old, it is ancient, it is habitual, and that I have to be able to slow down enough to breathe, find my breath, connect to my core self, connect to creation, the power inside of me. I am powerful and I just don't know it. But when you wake up to your power, you can begin to utilize it. And so I need to be able to breathe and slow down and say, hey, is this even true? Let me pull back for a minute before I respond to this text. Let me pull back a minute, right? Before I get on online dating. Let me pull back again before I drive over here to kick her ass. Let me pull back a minute, right? Before I have to do these things that are gonna cause me pain and hardship. And so I just asking you to just pause sometimes, slow down a little bit. The quarantine has forced us to slow down a lot and
Mm-hmm.
to examine ourselves and to look at our self-esteem and to look at what it's based on. You know, the next thing that I want to talk about is motivation. But I'm going to stop here. Is there something you want to add?
I mean, for me, just this conversation alone, at one point in time, I felt like being this vulnerable was considered weak. I felt like doing something like this and putting my feelings on Front Street would be considered weak. You know, myself, I'm not a celebrity, but having an attachment or an affiliation, I receive slews of comments, you know, and that's something that I've struggled with throughout the course of my life, you know, and um, I can't stress enough how much going to therapy and how seeking the healing and recognizing the value within myself enabled me to um, redirect and reprogram my mind. And that's what this is about, reprogramming our minds, um, taking our experiences that may have been painful or traumatic and allowing them to create a space for us to cultivate and grow. And
Yes.
this today, for me alone, was just a testament of that, you know, just being able to have this space and to be able to talk this freely. So I appreciate you so much. And I want to keep this going. I have like a lot more. I know you have a lot more coming up in terms of um, mental health and having these resources available for people. So yeah, no, I'm so thankful and grateful for you and your energy, and I'm eager to keep this going.
Good, good. I'm so happy. It is, it's my joy to participate in the wakening up of our village, our tribe, our people. You know, motivation is everything. What is motivating me? What drives me? You know, value has to drive you, your personal value. You beginning to understand and accept that your value is based on your internal self, not your external self. You learning that you are this creation, and you are always in creation. That has to be your new motivation, you know. And another thing is that, do you have the ability to have empathy for people? This is another thing that is an example of emotional intelligence. Can you care about people? Can you have compassion for people? Is anger the only thing that you're committed to? You know, is telling somebody about themselves the only thing that you're committed to? Is, you understand, like, what else are you committed to? There are other emotions, other powerful things that you can practice, like peace. Like, you can practice kindness. It's a lost art. You don't have to be offended. You can decide to be neutral. Even if you have bad customer service, you can decide to be neutral about it. You don't have to take it personally, because the way that you respond has to do with your social skills. That's another example of emotional intelligence. And so people who act a fool in public, who go off on people, lack social skills. They lack the ability to regulate their emotions. They are showing the world their pain, showing the world their pain. So now everybody knows you're unhealed when you act a fool. You tell it you're not big and bad. You actually need support and help. That's what you're telling the world. And so I'm trying to pull the covers. I want you to understand that the ability to understand, use, and manage your own emotions in a positive way, to relieve stress, to communicate effectively, to empathize with others, to overcome your challenges, and to diffuse conflict is emotional intelligence. So I know you're sexy. I know you got it going on. I know you're a boss. I know you're all these things, but what's your emotional intelligence quotient? Can people stand to be in a relationship with you? Or are they only in a relationship with you because of what you look like, what you got? Huh? People who are vulnerable have courage. People who are vulnerable have courage. People who can't trust nobody are fearful. Now I'm pulling whole cards. Now I'm pulling covers, because I know the code. I know the code. I know trust no bitch might be on your neck. That simply means you're scared. Your mama hurt you. The woman that you opened yourself up to hurt you. So now the logic is trust none of them. So I'm just letting you know what you're feeling, your emotions, your strengths, your weaknesses. Do you understand that they drive you? They become what's written in your constitution. They determine how you behave in relationships. And I'm pulling the covers off of the game. You disrespected me simply means you hurt my feelings. You disrespected me simply means you didn't understand my value, and I really want you to understand my value. Yeah, I'm calling you out. It's time for us to step out of this ignorance and to step into emotional intelligence. Men that are on this live, decide that you can be vulnerable, that it won't kill you to love. It won't kill you to show yourself. It won't kill you to take a chance, to take a risk. It won't kill you. The Black woman, the woman in general, has been punished She has been persecuted. She has been undervalued and underprotected. Why? Why would you do that to us? Why would you do that to her? Why would you undervalue the woman when you need her, when she is your inspiration? What logic would make that true for you? And so I'm saying, come out of this bullhorn. Rise up. Love yourself. Learn how to regulate yourself so that you can take the risk of love. Learn how to become self-aware. You can recognize when your little boy is scared and you need the love of a mother. You need an unconditional place. That's what a woman is trying to give you. Woman, heal from the abandonment of your father, even though he might have been in the house. Woman, heal, right, from the disconnection of your mother so that you can love freely and honestly. Emotional intelligence. Put that on your things to do list in 2020.
Emotional intelligence.
This is an area that I have to grow up in still. It's a process. And I don't want anyone to think that you do it overnight. You don't. You become as you practice. Again, self-awareness, self-regulation through breathing, prayer, meditation, contemplation, good nutrition, exercise. All of these things help you regulate your emotional nature. And so, in conclusion for me, is I want you to remember that sometimes your little injured kid, the one that didn't have a voice, the one that had to suppress, the one that was spanked, abandoned, that one that had to survive their family, that person, that aspect of you is sometimes making the decisions in your relationship. It is making the decisions in your career. It is afraid. That part of you, that aspect of you is afraid to expand, grow, and take the risk with their heart. And I'm saying to you, you have to parent that part of you. You're responsible for that. You can't go back in time and get parenting from those that did not parent you. You're responsible to parent that part of you. And that's part of your self-regulation practice. And in doing so, you can make adult decisions and you can move from a place of logic and emotion. And so that you're not controlled by one or the other, but that there's a balance and there is some emotional intelligence. I hope that this was useful. It is my joy to be here with you. And if you want to find me, I am on Instagram at Delena Zimmerman Therapy.
Mm-hmm. And again, I know that you had mentioned some other stuff that you have coming up. I will definitely be sharing stuff with everybody so they can be in contact with you. I'm so grateful and thankful for tonight. I feel really good. I hope that everybody and anybody who needed to receive this message received it, and it planted a seed. That's my intention. I hope that
Yes.
it planted a seed. Look for more coming from Wife of Creation. Look for more coming from both of us. And so it is.
And so it is.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. I was coming. It's off? No, it's not off. Hey. It's not